Woman, hear me today. Not with your ears, but with your spirit. You have been carrying everyone else's burden, pouring from a cup that no one ever thought to fill, and chasing things that never chase you back. But I came to remind you, you are not optional. Care enough. You are essential. You are not an afterthought in your own story. The time has come to focus on you. Stop wasting your precious time trying to earn validation from those who are too broken to recognize your value. Stop overwatering relationships that only leave you dry. Stop shrinking so others can feel tall in your presence. Your time is not just ticking. It's sacred, and there is a calling on your life that cannot be answered while you're busy trying to fit into places you've outgrown. Care enough. There is a vision in your spirit that keeps getting delayed because you keep saying yes to distractions and no to yourself. That's not humility. Woman, that's self-neglect. This is not the season to settle. This is not the hour to compromise. This is your wake-up call. Heaven has been waiting on you to take your place. Your gifts are not random. Your wisdom is not wasted. Your survival wasn't by accident. There's a reason you are still standing. So act like it. Woman, you don't need permission to prioritize yourself and care enough. You don't need applause to walk in power. You don't need to be seen to know you're chosen. Focus on your mind. Focus on your goals. Focus on your healing. Care enough. Focus on your growth. You were never designed to be everyone's everything and nothing to yourself. You're not just a helper. You are the builder of nations. Care enough. You are the incubator of purpose. When a woman rises, everything around her changes. But how will you rise up and care enough when you've lost yourself in the smoke of other people's fires? Step out of the drama. Step out of the delay. Step out of the disorder. Step into divine clarity. Let you know. Be holy in your yes. Be aligned. Let your attention reflect your assignment. Let your focus be sacred and care enough because you are worth the investment. You are not behind. You're being realigned. And when you start focusing on yourself, care enough. Watch how everything you were chasing starts coming to you. Woman, your time is not ordinary. It is not disposable. Care enough. It is not something you should squander on things that bear no fruit. Your time is sacred, heaven stamped, divinely measured, and intricately tied to your purpose. When God designed you, he didn't make an error. Care enough. He didn't fill you with gifts so you could waste them on people who refuse to grow, on situations that never change, or on approval that never comes. You have to understand that time is not just ticking, it is speaking. Every minute that passes whispers, "What are you doing with me?" Time is a currency, and once care enough, and once it is spent, it doesn't return. Money lost can be made again. Opportunities missed might come back around, but time, once it's gone, it's gone. So why would give your time to anything or anyone that does not honor your value? Some of us are exhausted not because we're overworked, but because we are misplaced. You're showing up where you were never assigned to be and care enough. You're investing in people who only withdraw. You're planting in soil that cannot grow anything. You're staying in conversations that kill your spirit. Care enough. You're pouring into relationships that never pour back. You keep answering the phone for people who would ignore you if the roles were reversed. Care enough. And you call it kindness, but heaven calls it distraction. There's nothing noble about wasting time in the name of love. There's nothing godly about staying loyal to dysfunction. There's nothing holy about letting your schedule be hijacked by drama, disobedience, and delay. Care enough. He'll use things that look good but cost too much. He'll send people who say the right words but drain your soul. He'll wrap confusion in charm and call it companionship. And the whole time, you'll think you're just being supportive, just being strong, just being available. But what you're really being is misaligned. You cannot afford to be out of position anymore. Not in this season. And care enough, not what God has placed in you, not with the dreams you've cried over, not with the purpose that keeps knocking on your spirit in the middle of the night. Care enough. You keep saying, "I'll focus on me later." But let me tell you something, later might be too late. I think you're being nice when you give everyone access to your time, but you are actually being irresponsible with the gift of your life. Care enough. You don't owe your presence to every event. You don't owe your voice to every argument. You don't owe your help to every hand that's reaching. And care enough. You are allowed to say no. You are allowed to preserve your peace. You are allowed to guard time like the treasure it is. Because that's what it is, a treasure. If you were to write down how much time you give to things that didn't grow you, to people who didn't see you, care enough, to past that didn't fit you, weep, would you be angry? Would you be ashamed? Don't condemn yourself. Wake yourself up. Care enough. There are books inside you that haven't been written because you're too busy babysitting broken situations. There are businesses you were meant to build, but you've been entangled in emotional chaos. Enough and care enough. There's healing you haven't yet stepped into because you've spent your energy trying to fix people who don't want to change. And you wonder why you feel stuck, frustrated, and empty. Woman, your time is not cheap. Your attention is a divine tool. When you focus it correctly, and you create miracles. When you give it away carelessly, you build prisons. Care enough, you become a hostage to other people's dysfunction when you allow distraction to dominate your life. God didn't create you to chase clout, chows, or crumbs. He created you to carry power, and that power must be protected by boundaries. Not everyone deserves to know what you're building. Not everyone is qualified to sit at your table. Not everyone should have a seat in your sacred space. Focus is a form of warfare. Care enough. When you decide to focus on yourself, on your healing, on your assignment, you break generational patterns. Care enough. You silence every voice that said you would never be more than your past. You take back the authority that distraction tried to steal. Yes, enough. They may talk about you. Yes, some people may walk away. Yes, you may feel lonely for a while. But trust me, peace is worth it. Purpose is worth it. And care enough. Fulfillment is worth it. And most importantly, you are worth it. You don't need to attend every argument you're invited to. Care enough. You don't need to explain why you're unavailable. You don't need to justify your evolution. Some things require silent explanation. Growth, not guilt. A distance, not discussion. The woman you are becoming requires more of you than the woman you've been. She requires discipline. She requires clarity. Care enough. She requires sacred use of your time. She doesn't have space for distractions disguised as duties. So today you must choose, care enough. Choose to stop wasting your precious time on anything that doesn't reflect your future. Choose to protect your hours like the sacred gold they are. Choose to rise, not in noise and in pride, but in wisdom and boundaries, in purpose. Woman, the world has taught you to apologize for your reflection. Care enough. It has conditioned you to shrink in the name of love, to break yourself into pieces just to make others feel whole. But I'm here to call out the lie. Focusing on yourself is not selfishness. It's divine strategy. You see, the enemy wants you busy with everything but yourself. Care enough. He wants your eyes everywhere except the mirror. He wants you pouring into broken cups while your soul dries out. Care enough. He wants you solving everyone's storm while your own house is on fire. But hear me now. This is the season where you turn inward and rise from within. And care enough. You've spent years showing up for others, holding their hands, wiping their tears, cleaning their messes. You've prayed them through their trials up, supported them through their breakdowns, and stayed longer than you were to in places that didn't value your presence. And all the while, you were dying inside, empty, tired, unheard, unseen. Don't let anyone guilt you into thinking that choosing yourself is betrayal. It is not. It's alignment. Care enough. It's the highest form of stewardship. Because how can you, who you were born to be, if you're constantly running on empty? Care enough. How can you fulfill your purpose if you're only surviving off leftovers? How can you lead, build, create, and nurture when you're spiritually malnourished? You are not a machine. You are not a vending system of comfort and solutions. You are not obligated to burn out to prove your loyalty. You are a soul. You are a temple. You are the carrier of vision, the birther of ideas, the backbone of legacy, and that requires care. Focusing on yourself is an act of faith. It's believing that God didn't place you on this earth just to play a background role in other people's stories. It's trusting that you have a purpose just as important as anyone else's. It's understanding that when you heal, everything connected to you heals too. Care enough. Sit with your wounds. Sit your potential. Sit with your ideas. Sit with your unspoken dreams. You've been so busy taking care of everyone else's needs. Care enough. You've forgotten what your own voice sounds like. You've forgotten what rest feels like, what peace feels like, what inspiration feels like. Enough and care enough. But when you focus on yourself, the fog begins to clear. Your intuition sharpens. Your creativity returns. Your strength begins to rebuild. You stop living on autopilot and start living on purpose. Focusing on yourself doesn't mean you love others less. It means you love yourself enough to finally give yourself what you've given so freely to everyone else. You can't pour effectively when your cup is dry. You can't give what you don't have. When you focus on yourself, you increase your capacity to love, to serve, to lead, and to bless. Even Jesus went away to pray. Even he withdrew from the crowds. Why? Because vision requires solitude. Direction requires separation. Revelation requires space. If the Son of God had to focus on himself to fulfill his mission, what makes you think you can fulfill yours by constantly neglecting yourself? Woman, you are a builder. You're not just building careers or families. You're building legacy. And any builder knows you don't lay foundation in chaos. You don't design a distraction. You don't construct with broken tools. So why are you trying to build your future while being emotionally bankrupt? And care enough, it's time to retreat. Not because you're weak, because you're wise. You're not running away, you're recharging. You're not quitting, you're realigning. You're not disconnecting, you're deepening. This is your cocoon season. And the world may not understand it. They may call you distant. Care enough. They may call you cold. Let them talk. While they talk, you're transforming. While they speculate, you're strengthening. While they gossip, you're growing. Care enough. They won't recognize the woman you become on the other side of this self-focus. Strategic about who you give your energy to. Strategic about how you spend your time. Strategic about what you allow in your spirit. Strategic about what you say yes and no to. Strategic about who has access to your peace. The version of you that God is calling forth requires intentionality, not obligation, not business, not guilt. You will not arrive at destiny by default. You arrive by design, and that design begins with focus. You don't have to explain it. You don't have to defend it. You don't have to apologize for this. Not rebellion. Bellion. It's wisdom. This is not abandonment. It's alignment. This is not selfishness. It's strategy. Because when you focus on yourself, you become what the world was waiting on. You become stable, care enough. You become centered. You become clear. And from that place of wholeness, you can do all things. Woman, you've been waiting for the wrong eyes to see you. Care enough. You've been bending, breaking, reshaping yourself to fit into boxes you were never designed to occupy. And care enough. You've been handing out pieces of your soul like samples. Hope and taste your worth and finally say, you're enough. The truth is, and care enough, some of the people you're trying to impress couldn't see you even if you stood in a spotlight. Not because you're invisible enough, care enough, because their vision is too limited. Their eyes are trained on the surface while your depth threatens them. Your growth intimidates them. Your light exposes their darkness. And still you try. Still you shrink your voice just to be heard. You dull your shine just to be accepted. You twist your truth just to feel included. Enough. But what if I told you that the pain you feel doesn't come from being rejected? It comes trying to be received in places were never worthy of you. Care enough. You were never meant to beg to belong. You were never meant to chase love, force friendships, or prove your worth like a sales pitch. And care enough. Validation comes from the applause of the crowd. It comes from the quiet knowing within. You are not for everyone. Care enough. And that's not a weakness. That's wisdom. You were never meant to fit in every room, click with every circle, or connect with every spirit. Your soul is too rare, too radiant, too rooted in purpose to be understood by just anyone. Yet you've been outsourcing your identity. Care enough. You've been handing people permission slips to decide how worthy, beautiful, gifted, or strong you are. And the danger in that, when people validate you and care enough, they also have the power to invalidate you. One moment you're praised, the next you're questioned. One day they lift you, the next they doubt you. You become a puppet on the string of other people's opinions, dancing for affection, approval, or attention. And care enough, the breath in your lungs is proof that you are already chosen. The fire in your belly is the signature of heaven saying, she is mine. You don't need applause to walk in purpose. You don't need a platform to activate your gifts. You don't need likes, retweets, care enough, or compliments to define who you are. Why would you go to broken mirrors trying to see your reflection? Care enough. Why we look for affirmation in places where jealousy lives? Why would you crave belonging in environments that only tolerate you but never celebrate you? Some of the rejection you feel is really redirection. God is pulling you out of counterfeit circles so he can position you for real purpose. Care enough. The doors that wouldn't open, they weren't locked. They were just not yours. The people who overlooked you, they were protecting you from being used, manipulated, and diminished. Stop standing in rooms that shrink your greatness to fit their comfort zones. Stop watering yourself down so you can be palatable. You were never meant to be a safe version of yourself to make insecure people feel better. Your strength is not a threat. Your brilliance is not arrogance. Your presence is not too much. It's just unfamiliar to those who lack capacity. Validation isn't a place you visit. It's a place you live from. Care enough. You have to know who you are when no one is clapping. You have to believe in yourself when no one else does. You have to see yourself clearly, especially when the world refuses to. Their opinion becomes noise. Their absence becomes peace. Their approval becomes optional. There comes a time in every woman's journey where she must step away from the crowd and ask herself, who am I without their permission? Who am I without attention, the praise, the approval, the followers, the likes, the validation? Care enough of, start nurturing what's inside you. Start trusting your own voice. Start building your life from a place of internal authority. Enough. You don't need external validation when you have internal revelation. And when you walk in that revelation, everything changes. Enough. You stop trying to get in their rooms. You build your own table. You stop needing their platform. You become the message. You stop chasing love. You embody it. The people who are assigned to your life don't need to be convinced. They will see you. They will hear you and care enough. They will honor you, not because you twisted yourself into who they wanted, but because you dared to be who you really are. This is the season where you stop seeking validation and start walking in authority. You don't need to scream to be powerful. Care enough. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. You just need to stand tall, speak truth, and move in purpose. Let them wonder why you no longer show up begging. Care enough. Let them question why your spirit feels driven. Let them notice the silence where they used to be striving. Woman, you were never meant to just exist. You were never meant to be hidden in the background, tolerated instead of celebrated, or included only as an accessory. You are not a side note. I care enough. You are not optional. You are not an afterthought. You are an atmosphere changer. And it's time to start walking like it. You shift the room not just with your words, but with your presence. You alter the emotional climate of the people around you. Not because you try, because it's built into your spirit. You carry a force, an essence, a divine vibration that shifts things when you enter, not when you ask. You weren't designed to take cues. You were designed to set the standard. Somewhere along the way, you began to believe the lie that said you're too much, too emotional, too bold, too intense, too spiritual, too opinionated, too passionate. Care enough, and in an attempt to be loved, you dimmed your light so you could be just enough to be kept. You walk into a room and the spiritual atmosphere responds because you are not common. You walk into a space and care and things align. Because when you show up in truth, everything else must adjust. Stop toning yourself down to fit into environments that cannot contain your brilliance. Stop pretending you're not the solution when the room is suffocating in confusion. Care enough. I stopped waiting to be asked to speak when your silence is costing lives and delaying destinies. Woman, you carry strategy. You carry healing. You carry prophetic insight. You carry peace in your voice and fire in your bones. You are not just someone who's present. You are someone who transforms. Care enough. That's why the warfare you've been facing has been so personal. Because the enemy isn't threatened by people who blend in. He's threatened by women who know they are atmosphere shifters, women who know their words hold weight, women who understand their prayers break chains. Care enough. Women who recognize their very presence demands accountability, authority, and alignment. You see, being an atmosphere changer doesn't always look glamorous. Sometimes it looks like being misunderstood. Sometimes it looks like being left out. Care enough. Sometimes it means your presence exposes what's out of order. And people don't always like that. And care enough. But don't shrink because of discomfort your greatness causes. That discomfort, that resistance, That's confirmation. Care enough. Don't mistake rejection for insignificance. Often, being left out is just God's way of reminding you that you were never supposed to fit in. Care enough. You weren't sent to adapt. You were sent to activate. Your assignment isn't to maintain what's familiar, it's to introduce what's divine. Care enough. You have the authority to interrupt cycles. You have the authority to speak peace into chaos. Often care enough. You have the authority to call out destiny where others see dysfunction. You have the authority to declare healing where others expect brokenness. You are the thermostat, not the thermometer. You don't reflect what's happening around you. You determine what's allowed to stay. Enough. You are a walking disruption to everything that's not aligned with heaven's agenda. This is why you feel uncomfortable in places that celebrate surface level living. This is why shallow conversations drain you. This is why mediocrity irritates your spirit. Because the mantle you carry refuses to settle in atmospheres where there's no room for depth, truth, care enough, or transformation. Let them misunderstand you. Let them distance themselves. Let them call you intense or over the top. Because in due time, they'll realize what you brought into that room was not pride. It was presence, not ego. It was elevation. It was not noise. It was anointing. Care enough. You were created to be the woman who walks into a room and causes people to check their own posture, to check their motives, to rise to the occasion. You don't need to say a word. Your life speaks. Your energy speaks. Your peace speaks. You are the change agent. You are the vessel. Care enough. You are the breaker of generational patterns. No more sitting in corners waiting to be chosen. No more waiting for a mic to speak what God has put in your heart. No more delaying your gift to make others comfortable. You don't need permission to walk in authority. You don't need affirmation to activate your assignment. You don't need popularity to fulfill your purpose. When you begin to walk in that authority, things will shift. People will look at you differently. Some will draw closer. Others will walk away. That's okay. That's alignment doing its job. Don't chase what leaves. Don't resent what resists. Your role is not to be liked. Your role is to light the way. And the right people, the people assigned to your destiny, they will recognize your presence. Not because you shouted, but because you performed, because you walked in quiet confidence. Your no is not rejection. It is redirection. Every time you say no to what distracts, depletes, and derails you, you are saying a louder, bolder, more powerful yes to your destiny. For too long, you've been taught that saying, no is selfish. That declining an invitation makes you difficult. That setting a boundary makes you cold. And care enough. But heaven's perspective is different. Every no that protects your purpose is seed sown in your future. Every no that shields your peace is a yes to the calling on your life. You see, woman of purpose, your time is holy. Your gifts are sacred. Your peace is non-negotiable. And you must learn that not every opportunity is divine. Not every connection is covenant. Not every request deserves your yes. And care enough, because the enemy doesn't just come through storms. Sometimes he shows up as a distraction in disguise. He'll send people who drain you. He'll offer assignments that look but rob your soul. He'll fill your calendar with business so your destiny stays buried under obligations. But this is the season where you get selective. This is the hour where you become ruthless with your boundaries and radical about your destiny. When you say yes to things that are not aligned, you delay what is divine. When you say yes to people pleasing, you silence your own voice. When you say ayes to dysfunction, you put purpose on pause. But every time you gather the courage to say no, you clear space for what God is really trying to do. Care enough. You cannot fulfill your purpose while carrying the weight of obligation, guilt, and approval seeking. You must let some things go, not because they're bad and care enough, but because they're not yours. Every detour that looks innocent may not be evil, but it can still be a distraction. And distractions are dangerous when you are carrying destiny, and that means you must protect your path, because every yes has a cost. When you say yes to people enough, habits, environments, and expectations that do not honor who you are becoming, you are quietly saying no to your own breakthrough, the inner conflict you feel. And care enough, that frustration that keeps building that awareness in your soul. It's not because you're weak. Care enough. It's because you've been saying too many yeses that your soul never agreed with. You've been agreeing to show up when you needed to be still and care enough. You've been agreeing to help when you needed healing. You've been agreeing to relationships that only remember when they need something. You've been agreeing to silence when your voice was the answer to someone else's prison. When you say no to what's beneath you, you are saying yes to what's ahead of you. When you say no to repeating old cycles, you are saying yes to new strategies. When you say to mediocrity, you are saying yes to mastery. When you say no to pleasing others, you are saying yes to pleasing God. And care enough. And alignment requires authority. It requires discernment. It requires that you know your assignment well enough to recognize when something is not part of it. So yes, they might be offended when you say no. They might talk about you. Yes, you might lose connections that you thought were forever. And guess what? Care enough. When you say no to what doesn't serve your purpose, you make room for what does. You will begin to attract peace, clarity, favor, and care enough, and open doors that were waiting on your obedience. The divine doesn't pour into clutter. God waits for you to say no to what he never sent so he can release what he ordained. So, woman of God, raise your standard. Protect your gates. And care enough. Respect your own no. Because every no to what distracts is a yes. To what develops, care enough. Every no to what tempts is a yes. A yes to what trumps every no. To pleasing people is a yes. A pleasing heaven. Say no, not in bitterness, but in boldness. Say no, fear with faith. No, not to escape, but to elevate. Your no is your sword. Your no is your shield. Your no is your permission slyly stepped into the fullness of who you were created to be. Woman, you are praying for acceleration. Care enough. You are asking for movement, momentum, miracle. You want doors to open, things to shift, and prayers to be answered. And there's nothing wrong with that. Care enough. The desire to advance is not wrong. It is divine. You were created to grow. You were designed to evolve. Your soul knows it was meant for more. But before the speed, the stills, calmness, before the next level, there must be a new alignment. Enough, because what good is acceleration if you're headed in the wrong direction? Sometimes the delays in your life aren't punishment. They are divine pauses. Care enough. They are sacred silences. They are holy interruptions placed there to help you realign before you destroy yourself chasing what you're not yet ready to carry. Acceleration without alignment is chaos. Acceleration without healing is burnout. Acceleration without vision is destruction. And too many women are trying to go further without getting centered first. You're asking for God to enlarge your territory, but you haven't secured the ground you're standing on. You're asking for new doors to open, but you haven't shut the ones that lead to distraction, dysfunction, care enough, and disobedience. Realignment is about getting honest. It's about doing the soul work. It's about pulling yourself out of what's familiar but fruitless. It's about asking yourself, care enough, where am I out of order? Where have I drifted from my truth? What am I still entertaining that I should have ended? You can't bring old habits into new assignments. Care enough. You can't bring fractured focus in divine favor. You can't out disobedience with ambition. That's why things feel stuck. That's why the doors haven't opened yet. That's why the pace hasn't picked up. God is calling you to pause. Not because he forgot about you, enough, because he cares too much to let you crash at high speed. You see, realignment is not glamorous. It's not loud. It happens in the hidden places. It happens in your mindset, in your private discipline, in your morning prayers and late night decisions. Care enough. It happens when you decide stop chasing what drains you and start feeding what builds you. Care enough. The version of you that heaven is waiting on can't emerge without alignment. She requires order. She requires clarity. And care enough. She requires bold boundaries and holy decisions. Doesn't need to be faster. She needs to be centered. Favor that had been delayed suddenly finds you. Care enough. People who didn't see you before suddenly recognize your value. Ideas that were stuck begin to flow again. Things begin to move because you finally stopped running and started repositioning. Because once you're aligned, you move differently. You speak with authority. You make decisions with confidence. You stop entertaining what's beneath you. You start answering questions your spirit already resolved. You stop wasting time. And that alone will speed up your progress more than any platform motion or applause. Think about a car that's out of alignment. The wheels may be turning, but it's veering off the rough. You can press the gas all you want, but acceleration in the wrong direction is still dangerous. Eventually, you'll crash or break down. That's how some of us have been living, busy but broken. Fast but frustrated, moving but missing the mark, and care enough. Realign your vision with your values. Realign your relationships with your boundaries. Realign your goals with your healing. Care enough. Realign your routines with your peace. Realign your voice with your authority.